I am not here to debate with anyone. I have devoted all of my adult life to this subject. I only debate with my equals. All others I teach.
Welcome to the Radical Roots Podcast, a offshoot of that called the Roots Rundown. I am your host for the day, Peyron Baxter. If you do watch the Radical Roots Podcast, you will know me from that show. But we want to do something daily, give you something fresh, give you something where you can we're not talking about politics on the front end, but ultimately talking about politics and how it interweaves with our lives. So again, I'm Peyron Baxter. If you know me from the Radical Roots, you know I'm kind of the loudmouth, braggadocious person that wants to make sure you have the knowledge, do the knowledge, make sure that you're able to educate people within your community, but also start with yourself. So again, I just want to make this kind of a smaller, bite-sized, consumable, concise amount of information that we can have within the community, and just do a little differently. We do some Q&A, some pop culture stuff, but then also making sure that you have the understanding of what's going on around you and how everything that isn't happening in the halls of Congress may actually impact what's happening in the halls of Congress. So why am I doing this show? I think that sometimes, our main show, which happens on Thursdays, tonight, and Sundays, can sometimes be a little bit long, and people may not want to watch the whole thing, but we can give people, specific tactical things that are happening and how that relates to politics and how your views on certain things can maybe impact those, whether it be in your own community, whether it be in your family, whether it be at your workplace. So that is the point of this show. Again, I'm Peyron Baxter. I ain't got nothing to do besides talk to you, and that's the point of me on this show right now. So, just to get into it, just because I don't want to take too much of you guys' time up. Recently, within, dare I say, the social media zeitgeist in the Democratic Party, we've had a new announcement. We've had a Senate race in Texas be announced for candidacy as Jasmine Crockett, who is a congresswoman from I believe the 15th district in Texas. I believe, I could be wrong, but she's running for Senate to replace John Cornyn. And with this became a flurry of, oh, she's pro-Zionist, oh, she's pro-Israeli, blah, blah, blah. And even, and as someone to myself, who, again, I'm wearing a pro-Palestine shirt today, who is very pro-Palestinian, I can also understand as a Black person what it means to have nuance. I can understand what it means to say where we're at and how do we address those things. So without further ado, I would like to play Jasmine Crockett's launch video, which I thought was very interesting, and we can talk about it on the other side. But here we go. Here, Jasmine Crockett's launch video.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her?
She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man.
She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Yes. So that was Jasmine Crockett's release video, and it has this kind of I want to say a Candyman intonation, where if you say the name 5 times, they shall appear, right? The person that you've been calling for, you call for me, so I'm showing up at your doorstep, boo. And we know Jasmine Crockett because she's been able to be very forceful on the floor, whether it be against, some of these folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene. We all remember her bleach bond. That, I'm gonna pull that video up because I can't remember, because it was good, but also at the same time, it pushed her to the forefront, and that's what we're looking for in folks who are in Congress. Let's see if I can find it here. But if not, we can still go into some more. But ultimately, Jasmine Crockett was able to, really, I think, galvanize a lot of young people, a lot of Black people, people of color, because we do like to see people who are from marginalized communities push back against white supremacy, which is ultimately the Trump administration. That's ultimately Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's ultimately all these, Supreme Court orders that are coming down. She is an attorney, a civil rights attorney. And I am very excited for Jasmine Crockett. If I lived in the state of Texas, I would vote for Jasmine Crockett. But we did have this issue come up about her stance on Israel. And I think people are piling on a bit too much. And I think we're not actually understanding what politics even is writ large in America, where honestly, Black people, we don't really have an opportunity to have the best candidates and people who are going to stand for every single issue we stand for. But I do think it is indicative to be able to assess the rhetoric of certain people and assess the voting record of certain people. So for Jasmine Crockett, this clip was going around maybe the day after she released, or she released that intro video of herself, and it caused a lot of consternation. People were saying, well, look at this, if she's doing this, then how can we trust her? So check this out. We'll talk about the other side.
Congresswoman, Governor Walz started out tonight by repeating this refrain that Israel has a right to defend itself. Yeah. Israel has just invaded Lebanon. Israel is now intimating that it could attack Iran. So shouldn't we be looking for a little more than just these platitudes about Israel having a right to defend itself? What is the limiting principle, especially when the U.S. is the one providing the armaments for Israel to wage these military campaigns, as you know, having voted for the National Security Supplemental back in April, which underwrote Israel's war effort?
I absolutely did vote for it. I voted for that along with every other supplemental that was available. And I will tell you this. It is important that people understand what diplomacy looks like, and it looks like the fact that this relationship between Israel and the United States has existed since before I was born. And guess what? This relationship will continue on in perpetuity even after I'm gone.
Now, that clip was going around from Rogue DNC, which posts a lot of very leftist, sometimes very spicy stuff against the Democratic Party to push the Democratic Party. And that clip was not in its totality, right? But that clip made its rounds, and people did remember the things that she was saying. This is during the DNC of 2024, where Kamala Harris chose to not put a Palestinian speaker up there. In fact, there was a Palestinian Georgia Democratic lawmaker in the State House that wanted to go up there and actually endorse Kamala Harris and try to bring people in to say, we should support Kamala Harris, but we need to stand up for what's happening to the Palestinians in the genocide happening in Gaza. And that was during that same DNC where folks were, basically assaulted outside the DNC, where there was this malignment of people who were trying to advocate for Palestinian rights. And then also the same DNC that had two Israeli parents that were actually going to be up there talking about, their children. So it's very lopsided. So I think from my perspective, as a Black person, I do want to see Black people that represent human rights, right? And I think, that clip that was going around really tried to, I think, solidify in the minds of people that she's extremely pro-Israel. Now, listen to that clip. That was 1 year ago, pretty much, a little bit, give or take, actually a little bit more than a year ago. It does sound like she would be pro-Israel, right? In a time where we are looking for people to stand up for what is right. But it wasn't the whole clip. So to be fair, I want to play the rest of it, or at least in an additional clip that I think can add some more context to how she feels about the genocide in Palestine, or at least the state of Israel. So check this out.
You look at Israel, I think it is important that people start to talk about the fact that the state of Israel versus their leadership. Because right now, or when I went to Israel, I know that the people were protesting Netanyahu because Netanyahu was reforming the courts. In addition to the fact that Netanyahu was under investigation along with people in his administration. Sound familiar?
Now her entire...
And shout out to the Jolly Good Ginger for that clip there. But, so she's there saying that the people of Israel do not represent Netanyahu, and therefore that's not the same thing as supporting the genocide. And it does sound like she's splitting hairs. As someone who understands that the state of Israel, overwhelmingly, the people want the genocide to continue. They want to annex more land. They do not care about the Palestinians. Hell, they are settlers themselves. They are arming them with AR-15s. They are starving people. They are shooting 355 bullets into a 6-year-old like Hin Rajab. They are training dogs to rape Palestinian people in prisons. These are real things. There is a famine going on. So it's very similar to, I think, Kamala Harris, where people are still, they're still protesting and making noise in her book tour. And a lot of Black luminaries in journalism and in politics are saying, well, why are you guys protesting Kamala Harris? She's not the president. Leave her alone. And I understand that sentiment, but the issue is this. If we were in Nazi Germany and someone who was supplying the tanks, supplying the bombs, supplying the razor wire to keep the Jews inside the concentration camps, and then there was a shift of political momentum under their country, should they just be able to go along and go about their daily lives and, you know, and go on a book fucking tour? I think you'd be like, you know what? No, there should be some consequences for those fucking Nazi supporters. And that's what's happening here. And on the other end of that, when people are saying that, you know, Kamala Harris isn't the president and blah, 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 and, you know, she's not this, that, and the third, nor is Jasmine Crockett, we have to understand that all of our fates are intertwined, right? What's happening in Palestine, we're seeing now rolled out in the streets of America. And those of us that warned against this, and again, I was doing political work during the time of the Kamala Harris campaign, trying to get people to vote for Kamala Harris, trying to get people to register to vote. But her immoral stances on there did become a deal breaker for some. Was it enough to swing the election? I personally don't think so. The numbers do not back that up. In fact, the numbers back up that she just did not get enough people off the couch, nor did Trump. 90 million people didn't fucking vote. So we're blaming the Arab and pro-Palestinian Muslim people, which as a already oppressed person in this country, I think is very, very weak. I think it's allowing us to use the same tactics as our oppressor to say, like, well, you know, it's those people. When in reality, and it's funny, just a quick story, a quick aside, my wife ran for school board last election in 2024. Same ticket as Trump, same ticket as Kamala Harris. And as I was already kind of doing the work of kind of organizing within the community, the 8th largest county in North Carolina, I gave her this piece of advice. And I think this applies for all candidates. I think this is how we should look at it, is that it is your responsibility as a candidate to go and get every single vote that you want to get. It is no one else's responsibility to vote for you. And if you are not appealing to the people that you want, and if you're trying to appeal to the people that honestly do not want you, and then those numbers don't add up in the wash at the end of the day, you have no one else to blame but yourself. Now, as a Black person, as a Black man who has a Black wife and Black children, a Black mother and a Black family and Black friends, I knew that voting for Kamala Harris would be better for us as people in the short term than voting for Donald Trump. And unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of white people, unfortunately to say that, voted for Trump. And that slice, it was so large that it overcompensates for the 92% and the 80% and the overwhelming majority of Latino and the overwhelming majority of Asian, the overwhelming majority of Muslim and Arab people. That is the issue. So we go back to Jasmine Crockett, and we want to have this conversation about this singular issue, which I don't think it would be a singular issue. If I lived in Texas, someone who's very pro-Palestinian myself, I would vote for Jasmine Crockett, like no question, because I know she's a fighter. I know she doesn't take no shit. I know she pushes back. And let me see if I can find this video real quick. Let me see Jasmine Crockett, because that video set her off, right? The bleach blonde, black, I can't remember, bleach blonde, built bleach body. Sorry guys, first day on myself here. Usually I got running the cameras and whatnot. But either way, we all remember that moment, right? We all can at least, we even had a cadence to it. I think there was even like a dubstep remix, right? The bleach blonde, and that is what I think was able to, again, propel her into the forefront of so many people's minds. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can pull this up here for y'all, because it was so good. I ain't gonna lie. There we go.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If
There's a better one. This is here.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order, Mr. Chairman.
That's beneath even
order of your committee.
It is
absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack
meeting will
the
suspend,
physical
meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Baby
Don't
girl.
even play. with
Baby
me.
girl? I don't
We
think
are gonna
so.
move and we're gonna take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second that motion.
So who will have to pay us?
You will never get an apology out of me. I
Then
don't owe
then
you
I
one.
object. Then I object, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Askins objects.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
part
I'm
of the.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to
I had
strike
no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
Jamie Raskin's face when that happened was hilario. I mean, he's sitting there like, I can't believe she said that shit. Which was like, again, it shook the world because we know Marjorie Green is a bad bleach blonde butch body. We know that shit. And now she's trying to do her mea culpa tour. Like, fuck you, Marjorie Green, because you're still a fucking Nazi. But yeah, we do need a fighter like Jasmine Crockett. I do believe, I think she has the mettle. I think she has the skill. She has the temerity. She has the knowledge level. And she don't even, and when I learned that she was like in her mid 40s, shocked me. 44 where? 44 where? Okay. As someone who's still in his 30s, who's like, I'm in my 50s, I'm absolutely like, man, I don't know what her skin regimen is, but it's fantastic. But on this issue of Israel, this is my take on it, straight up. I do not believe that politics is, or as we're looking for politicians in the Democratic Party, that I'm looking for perfection. I'm not looking for perfection. What I'm looking for is growth. Are you willing to grow from those two clips that we showed earlier in the show, from where you were then to where we need you to be if you were to be seated? Would you vote against arming Israel? Would you even call it a genocide? And some of those things are policy things, and other things are moral things, but I think they go together. Because if you see Palestinians as humans, you would not stand with the people who are murdering them. You would not stand with settler colonialism, because we are the direct byproducts of settler colonialism. We are the byproducts of people treating people inhumanely and murdering them and raping them and starving them. We are the byproducts of sexual violence. Every time you see a Black person, whether it be myself, Jasmine Crockett, or whoever else that is a descendant of enslaved people, you are seeing the byproducts of sexual violence. And that is one thing that I think when people are like, we're all Americans, we're not all the same. This country was built off of us being excluded from everything. And as John Henrik Clarke said, we're not going to sit here and debate people who don't know. I don't debate people who are not my equal. I only teach, is what we started this show with. So we're going to continue to talk about Jasmine Crockett as the campaign kicks up. I do think that she represents a fresh face, a new vision for the party. I think she represents a fresh face for the Senate, for damn sure. Where like the median age is like 88. So I think she will help lower that curve just a tad, but that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. So moving on to the next topic, because we're going to keep this show short. Also, what came up was this over the weekend, before this show was even kind of created, was this idea that, let me go back here. Goodness. Was that the, hold on. Okay. Sorry, folks. My, trying to get it all together here. Okay, here we go. So another clip that came around that made its rounds was a clip from, I don't know what show it was from per se, but it had Stacey Abrams on it, and you kind of had this take on what Black men represent within politics and the electoral process. And Stacey Abrams responded to this. I believe she was a radio host, and there was again another split amongst the community about what this represents. So let's play it and let's talk about the other side.
To bring up, and to me, I feel like this is something not to point fingers or the blame, because I feel like when you divide, obviously that's when you conquer, right? But a big part of the people that I know was not going for Kamala, let's just talk about that whole situation. It wasn't us. It wasn't the Black women that wasn't going out and voting. Honestly, I spoke to a lot of Black men, and they were not going out to vote.
Statistics tell us that most black men that voted did vote for Kamala.
Exactly. Well, I'm talking about people like now on radio, I have a lot of people that call in, and they made it very, very clear that they were never going to vote for Kamala ever, is what they said. They said they'd take anyone over her.
So I will say this. So having experienced this myself, I can speak from a place of both power and information. Okay. Sexism is absolutely real in every community. Racism is absolutely real. But let's look at the data. And what the data says is that black men support black women. Black women support black women the most. Yeah. But the next highest support system, black men. Now, a lot of folks who call in to tell you what they are going to do weren't planning to do anything anyway.
They didn't vote at all.
And so we need to remember that disinformation often comes by planting people in our communities to fracture our belief systems. Black men voted for me at the same rate they voted for Raphael Warnock. But if you heard the news, black men couldn't stand me, and that is designed to fracture our communities. I think it is so important that you raise that, because one of the misinformation points is that they leverage our inherent mistrust of systems to convince us that we don't have the support that we need.
That's right.
My responsibility is to never let them tell me that my brothers don't love me as much as my sisters do.
Amen. That's right.
But the other reality is that when they do those exit polls, you got to remember, we are 13% of the population. How exactly are you finding a representative sample when you're only talking to 1 or 2 people in every state? They then extrapolate from that in ways that shape narratives but defy math.
That's right.
And so we can't let them tell us who we are. But my point is,
yes, Stacey Abrams clapping, that's not really clapback, but a strong retort, called a strong retort on that radio host. And I think this is a paradigm. I think this is the folks who are more politically read in versus the maybe barbershop hair salon talk. Again, I don't go to a barbershop, as you guys can see, my hair is pretty long, but I go there for my son. And the conversations we have at the barbershop are very different than I have maybe with my political conversations with people, right? But at the end of the day, what does this mean, right? I think for so long, since the 2024 election, there's been the 92%, right? This has been a trope that is 100% real, it's 100% accurate, but it's also been allowed to erase black men. It's also been allowed to be co-opted by, dare I say, white liberal, specifically white liberal women. I've rarely seen a white man say, I'm going to be like the 92%. I'm going to be like the 92%. No, it's predominantly white women. And it's kind of the salve they put on their wounds because they know that their white sisters are our largest betrayers. And then allows them to say, well, look, everybody's bad except for black women. And I just want to say, I think I made a video on this right after the election, that we don't have the numbers. As black people, we don't have the numbers to ultimately, be the, just determine any election. We are 13% of the population, as you heard Stacey Abrams just say there. But with that, we're a leverage vote, right? We have to have coalition. This is why anything that we do, whether it be the Rainbow Coalition, whether it be Bacon's Rebellion, whether it be, the election of Barack Obama, or even the turnout for Kamala Harris, it'll always be a coalition, and a coalition of the majority. So this trope that black men don't support black women, it goes back to the welfare queen. It's the black fathers out the home. It is all a part of that. And if we choose to believe that, then we are now internalizing what has been given to us based on the conditions that we did not create. We didn't create any of these fucking conditions. But when I said something earlier about the overwhelming majority of the white vote, I'm going to just pick it back and forth here. The white percentage of population in this country is 60%. I don't know, 59, 60%. And the white nationalists hate that. They hate that number's ticking down. But it's around 60%. I'm going to just explain to you really quickly what institutional disenfranchisement and institutional privilege looks like. So if the white population is 60%, but their electoral voter share is 71%, so over-indexed by 11%. Black people are 13% of the population. That's from a baby being born right now to one of our elders passing right now. So that's not even all the voters, but that's just everybody, 13%. Our electoral voter percentage is 11%. So you see that disadvantage already there. Of that, That's you get everybody from lefty leftist me to crazy ass Herschel Walker. Of that, of the women, 92% of them voted for Kamala Harris. Of the men, 79-80% of them voted for Kamala Harris. Of the white vote, of that 71%, almost 60% of them voted for Donald Trump. So when people are saying like, we're a community, no, we're not. And I want to reiterate, it may hurt some people hearing this. The Democratic Party writ large is not a community, and it should not be championed as one. It is a tool. It is a tool for us to get two things. Elections are about two things, folks. It's about getting rights and resources. That's it. And as Black people, we've been held back from both of those things. In fact, both of those things are being specifically and surgically taken from us right now under this Trump administration. So when you're saying we're a community, but your people are not dying with due to maternal mortality rates, your children are not dying due to infant mortality rates, your people are not over incarcerated and then also over exonerated. Yes, we are over incarcerated, but we also have the highest exonerations because America has never gave up its penchant for free labor in this country. But that is the issue, and we need to lay it at the feet of those who vote for this stuff. Yes, the poor white, they're voting against their self-interest. We love to say that, but what if white supremacy is their self-interest? What if that is their self-interest? So the next time you hear someone say, Black men ain't this, Black men ain't that, who told you that? Where did you hear that from? Pew Research shows that Black men we have a lower divorce rate. We have one of the highest marriage, staying in the marriage together. We play with our kids more. We help them with their homework. We do our children's hair, put them in the baths more than any demographic of fathers. So who told you that? And in that video, the radio show host said, well, people are calling, people are telling me. And at the end of the day, what's the old phrase? The plurality of anecdotes is not data. Just because you've heard that from a few people does not mean it. So my dad was not in my life. Does that mean all dads are not, all Black dads are not in all Black kids' lives? Absolutely not. In fact, the overwhelming majority of my Black friends have their fathers. In fact, they were like my uncles. So we need to challenge these narratives. Just because some fool's calling in and somebody who doesn't read books and someone who doesn't care is actively trying to rehabilitate and force down our throats the ideals of white supremacy. So moving on. And I might get this tomorrow because I'll keep probably about 30 minutes. But that person at the beginning of the show, I'm probably going to keep him for the next few days at the beginning of the show. Is John Henry Clark, one of the Black leaders that taught us that for education. He taught at Hunter College. And again, his quote was, "I don't debate people who are not my equals. I only teach them." So please take some time out of your day today, tomorrow, this weekend to learn about John Henry Clark. One of my favorite quotes from him is, Black people don't owe nobody nothing besides an ass whooping. And that's the damn truth. So please make sure you're investing in time and make sure you're investing in educating yourself. Make sure you're investing in being outside of a circle that is your own, especially if you're white listening to this. Please make sure you're reading literature and books and listening to journalists and people who are doing the work that don't look like you. Because you're going to find out real quick what it's going to mean to be a nigga, real quick. Them farmers, they're President Trump, we loved you. We need you to now give us some of your love back. They're learning what it's like to be a nigga. But real quick, before we get out of here, let's see if we have any Q&A. So I will save the end of the show for any Q&A. We do have a few comments here. So here we go. Here we got one from Suzanne. I'm never going to have a candidate who I agree with 100% of the time. Exactly. Former mayor of New York City, Ed Koch, if you agree with me, I think he said 70% of the time, vote for me. If you agree with me 100% of the time, check yourself into a psychiatric ward. And that's correct, right? So we have to have the nuance. Fantastic point, Suzanne. Let's see here. And another comment from Suzanne. Let's see. That's why I'm here. Listen to the Radical Roots whenever I can. I'm here to hear the truth. Black leaders I respect. I love that, sister. And again, just because you are a person that believes themselves to be white doesn't mean that we can't be in community. That is not. We need people. And the Irish author Neil Ignatia said that they asked him, does he hate his hide? Because he was, a white man. And he says, I don't hate my hide. I actually am. I'm a traitor to my kind, whiteness, so I can be in solidarity with humanity. That's what we're asking for folks. And every time, even the most liberal and progressive person says, I'm white, you're still saying you're better than me because that's an invention. That's a political invention. You're not a white person. You're a person that believes themselves to be white. And until we can get there with as many people as possible to understand that we can't have free healthcare, we're not going to be able to have paid for schools. We're not going to have roads and bridges. We're not going to have an investment into infrastructure. We're not going to have the things that we need to survive. And that's the point of this show. And this has been the Roots Rundown. I am your host, Peyron Baxter, and I'm going to try to bring this to y'all every single day. I'm going to try to be here every day. Yeah, I'm going to try. But if I miss a few days, don't hold it against me. But I will be here, and we'll go over questions. And please like, share, subscribe. And I got some stuff here. I need to put on on the. There we go. See, again, I'm not used to this. Rom's good at this stuff. Please make sure that you donate to the Radical Roots. This is how we stay independent. This is how we keep doing the knowledge. This is how we get better. And any feedback you have for us, Peyron, I don't like the stool. I like the chair better. Slow down when you're talking. Get your words together. I don't know. These are my actual self-critiques I'm saying right now. And this one went a little bit long, about 4 or 5 minutes over, but I wanted to at least introduce the show. And moving forward, we'll just be jumping in. We'll jump into topics. If you guys have topics, put them in the chat. I'll pull them up real time and we can talk about it. But yeah, this has been the Roots Rundown, and we'll see you tonight for the Radical Roots proper show. I'm your host, Peyron Baxter, the guy who ain't got nothing to do besides talk to you, and we'll see you